available in more homes than the Pac-12 network. We are the podcast of champions.
They give it back now to the 30. We're down to the 20. All the band is out on the field.
I'm David Woods from Bruin Report Online.
And here he goes, Miles Jack.
And I'm Ryan Abraham from USCFootball.com.
Liner going to try to sneak it ahead. Touchdown, SC.
We are the podcast of champions. Welcome everyone back to the podcast of champions. I'm David Woods from Bruin Report Online, the UCLA site on the 24/7 Sports Network.
And I'm Ryan Abraham from USCFootball.com, the USC site on the 24/7 Sports Network. And together we make everything. What?
I was doing like Kiss FM late night. It's like Coast, you know?
Coast 105.
Yeah, no, I was doing like late night. This is a tribute.
First of all, we didn't even test our audio levels, and then you do that, so like it's really hard to even test. But yeah, I'm Ryan Abraham, and we are the podcast of champions, talking all things Pac-12 football. It was week 12. We got 1 week left of the regular season. My mind is blown, and only one more year of this podcast, and then we're done. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. No,
yeah,
we have some suggestions. So we got a big show for you today. We're going to try to get through everything. We got 6 games to recap from week 12. Obviously, big matchups. Utah, Oregon, USC, UCLA. We know half of the Pac-12 championship lineup. We're going to figure out the other half this week. We got 7 teams in action because you got a couple out-of-conference games because it's just weird that way. Whole bunch of ranked teams. Dave is writing down the games, a bunch of numbers. We got the playoff rankings, all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions or comments for the show, you can email us, pac12podcast@gmail.com. You can call or text us at 424-532-0678. We got 3 voicemails today, and I think we got a couple texts. You can tweet at us at Pac-12 Podcast on the website, pac12podcast.com. We're over on Reddit. You want to chat a little bit. Reddit.com/r/podcast of champions. And, of course, if you have the Apple Podcasting app, you can do this on Spotify and some of those other apps, too. So leave us a 5-star review wherever you are, but on Apple for sure. Leave us a 5-star rating. And some sort of review, could be negative, could be positive. We kind of prefer the negative. We just want the 5 stars. It does help to grow the show. I know many of you don't want the show grown because it's sort of just like, it's just not.
Whether you want it or not, this is growing like a tumor, guys.
It is, unfortunately, for humanity. But do we have any new reviews?
We've got a couple new ones.
We do. Nice.
First, Matthew says my microphone is too loud. I don't know if that's correct. I don't know if he's being funny. But he says so.
Okay, let me.
Is this too loud? Is this too loud?
I think you're okay.
You think I'm great?
I'll watch you as you talk. Yeah.
Yeah, just watch me.
Okay.
Watch my mouth move. Are you gonna watch?
I'm watching.
Oh, okay. Solid podcast. This is from Nans Volder. First time listening since a friend recommended it. Solid content, but the voices are annoying. Have a great one, boys. #Go Ducks. Love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I don't think we claim to have great voices.
Faces for radio,
Yep.
Voices for print. This is from Fort Emmett, 5-star review. Good times. Ryan is a very pleasant guy who makes sensible observations.
Oh.
Dave has a very scholarly understanding of the X's and O's, very sophisticated analysis. Both guys are parenthetical, not homers, and call things the way they see them. Well, I don't know that he's been listening to this show, but certainly seems like a nice enough guy. So
Yeah.
kudos to him.
I think we try.
Yeah.
We try to do that. I think we do this for work. There are people that if you're going to do like a blog and you're like, hey, I run this Oregon blog, and and you say like, we needed to tackle better and stuff. Like, we're not going to do that kind of stuff. I mean, there can be some little homery stuff like, sprinkled in, maybe Dave a little more than me, but just, it's sort of like, it's like our job. So you try to do it professionally, but we want to have fun too.
No. I'm not a homer. I'm an anti. It's like anti-fandom. Just be angry about the fact that you have been bred into this fandom. That's where I am.
Matthew says, I was joking. I wrote that while you were whispering. So much for my comedy career. Yeah. It's hard to I think sometimes you need like a hashtag, font or something. Because
also
a sarcasm hashtag.
Sarcasm. Wow.
Yeah,
That
sarcastic.
was a good pronunciation. Now, here's the thing I'll say, Matthew, and this is taking you all behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I'm talking right now, but you are hearing it about 25 seconds later. So when you post something in the chat, it's being read by us 25 seconds past what you are thinking it's being read by. Just letting you know.
Yeah, that's a delay.
There's a
Because
delay.
electrons take a while to
Yeah.
get there. They're kind of slow, electrons and stuff sometimes. Happy early Thanksgiving, everybody. We're doing a weird Wednesday show because it's a weird week, but it's still big football week. Love it. This is one of my favorite holidays. I love just eating turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes. And
I love just eating.
Yeah.
That was your hand motion right there.
Turkey leg.
I like turkey.
Speaking of mashed, Joe says I mashed. Mash that like button.
There are
Smash
so many
it.
more than 16 people viewing this right now, and only 16 of you have liked this.
Yeah.
That's trash.
So smash the like button. We do love that.
We're
when
going to
you can-
cancel this show if you don't smash the like
We're
button.
not canceling. We do need an intro. We need a better intro. Like we have our intro music, but we need like some video and stuff to go with it. So someone's got to get on that. Not going to be me.
Also, we have like a tight deadline today, and yet we have spent 5 minutes just
We're just
talking
this is what we do.
nonsense.
We talk nonsense. Yeah, that's sort of what we do. But we appreciate everyone being on our simulcast, even though Dave doesn't like to call it that.
not what
On
it
our
is.
YouTube channel, Podcast of Champions over there. So please subscribe. Yeah, we're up. I think we're up to like 600 subscribers or something on our YouTube channel. So that's awesome. And don't forget, there's a 75% off sale. So we are part of the 24/7 Sports Network. I cover USC. Dave covers UCLA. But we have colleagues throughout the Pac-12, and we have a great person that does whatever program you are interested in or programs. And if you're not a VIP member of any of those sites, you can do that for our Black Friday sale, 75% off. So it's a great, great deal. They had a free VIP day yesterday on Tuesday where just all VIP content was open. You could go read it for free. But today you can sign up for an annual membership for 75% off. So you're not going to get a better deal than that. And when the promotion's over, it's like, okay, you're going to pay the regular price, $120 or whatever, but you also get Paramount Plus for free. So that's the same price of that. So it's a great streaming service. Magnum, Top Gun is coming on that one, and Criminal Minds, all that cool stuff that's over on Paramount Plus. So, David, you got to take advantage of this.
Already have a subscription? Get another one.
Yeah.
You know what? You need to get as many as you can afford. This is a better investment opportunity than you'll find. How much does this I mean, it's at 25% of the regular annual subscription is what you're paying.
Right.
It's like we're giving you money.
It's
All
really
right.
yeah.
So all of you, I want as many email addresses as you have. And if you've been on the internet for 15, 20 years, you've got a lot. I want every single one of those email addresses tied to a paid 247 account. Go.
Yeah.
We'll still be here when you get back.
You definitely are supporting whatever program you follow, and it helps to grow that website and then give you better content and all that. But it's a great deal. Works out for everybody. So hopefully you guys can jump in there and take advantage of that.
Sign up early, sign up often.
Yeah, keep doing it. And if your parents, if you're young kids, go to your parents' credit card. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Sign them up.
That's the energy I'm looking for.
Maybe do grandma because she's probably paying less attention to what's going on her credit card. So but whatever. How many relatives you got? Just go sign up
look,
there.
you sign up your kids for like airline points too when they're not 18 yet. It's the same thing. Now, do you accrue points in any way for having a 247 account? No, but they'll just have it waiting for them when they need it.
If you want,
And
email
they
me.
will.
I will send you points. I will send you just pointers, whatever you want. Okay, we got some. We'll try to speed things up. Breaking news: college football playoff rankings are out. Outraged. 2-loss LSU, number 5. 1-loss USC, number 6. Doesn't really matter right now.
Doesn't fucking matter.
USC
USC's going to the playoff if they win out.
I think that's true. USC is 6. Oregon is 9. Top 10. Oregon.
Here's what I'll say about Oregon.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of chaos, but not dead yet.
Oh,
Not
okay.
dead yet at number 9. Takes a little bit of chaos.
Dave's optimism, I love. Washington comes in at
Just
number
saying.
13.
Dead.
Dead. Oh, I got one of my buddies sent me a picture of him in his big Penix Energy shirt. So he wanted me to tell you. He's a big fan of the show.
Good.
Yeah.
I still haven't worn it to this show. How have I missed that opportunity?
If we were only on video.
If they win the Apple Cup and finish with 10 wins, I'll bring the big Phoenix Energy.
Okay, if we were only on video, then you could show it off. Washington 13, Utah is 14. The Bruins, UCLA at number 18, and Oregon State creeping up there, number 21. So good to see 6 Pac-12 teams in the rankings.
Yep.
And like Dave said, I think it'll kind of play itself out. We also have some breaking news with
Washington Huskies.
I don't know if you heard some rumor. I think it might have been Dennis Dodd that was saying, was it Auburn that was interested?
I thought it was Nebraska, but yeah.
Nebraska,
maybe.
You're right. I am sorry. Nebraska.
Oh,
interested-
shit. Did I just correct Ryan on some breaking news?
Yeah.
Almost like I do pay attention.
Yeah. Kalen DeBoer. Do you know him?
I do.
No longer Fresno State head coach. He's Washington's head coach, doing a nice job, and he just signed a 2-year extension there. So he just got there and already got an extension, so that's cool. So you can get hired and get an extension sort of right away. Chip Kelly just got an extension. He could get another extension right away, right? Like I think we could keep this rolling. I think we're good.
Yeah.
But no, Kalen DeBoer, good for him. Do you think that keeps him?
Which NFL jobs are opening up this season that Lincoln Riley's going to go after?
It's funny. I just heard Bruce Feldman talk about this on his podcast, and he's like, I think he's going to stay for like 5 years, and then he'll probably go to the NFL, but he thinks it stays at least 5 years. I'm like, that's good enough. Maybe I'll retire at that point. That'd be good. Yeah, you need a good coach. When our jobs, you need a good coach because it really helps you do your job better.
Well, and I think if he does leave, though, you've got your next one just waiting in the wings. I mean, Sark 2.0 is just ready to happen. He's got his head on straight now.
I thought you'd say Clancy Pendergast. He's proven himself at UCLA. Can pop back in. Was he the defensive coordinator on Saturday, by the way? I didn't.
Correct.
He was. Okay. I didn't look there.
He was coordinating that thing we call a defense.
Yeah. We have our survivor pool winner. It's Ryan, not me. I was eliminated. Thanks, Herm. No, he won. He was the only guy that picked Colorado early. Essentially, you had to, he needs an extra jockey gift card. So we're going to send you, Ryan, send us, I got your email here. But I'll email you and we'll set this up. But to navigate the waters he did, to have Colorado, and Colorado won one game. He picked the 1 week to pick Colorado, nailed it, gets all the way to the end, and everyone else got stuck with Colorado. I don't remember the final score, but I don't think they won, right? Did they? They didn't win this week? It was close, probably. I don't know. Well, I assume it's close. It's Washington.
I think they scored.
Hey, that's positive.
And I think they may have stopped the other team at least once.
Maybe not.
Also, maybe not.
So congrats to Ryan. I mean, that's next level. When you really are trying to, he was planning to win. So this is the week I'm going to sacrifice myself, pick Colorado. If I'm out in week 7 or whatever it was, so be it. He figured it out, and props to him. But we still have a couple extra gift cards. So we want to do a tiebreaker. So if you were in that final group, I think there was 10 or so people in the final group. If you want to pick, you got to email us in the winner of the Pac-12 championship game, obviously when that's determined, and then just the total score. So give us one number, we'll add it up.
It's like an NCAA pool bracket tiebreaker on Yahoo. We just need the winner and then your guess at the total as a tiebreaker. The first thing is the winner.
Yeah.
If you don't pick the winner right, it doesn't matter what your total is, but send us both winner and total.
Yeah, and just want to give like a, what's it called, a shout out to Matthew from Mountain View, who was tabulating this throughout the season. So thank you so much, Matthew. We literally did no work. We basically just have to read his email or parts of his email.
And often we screw that up.
Yeah, we just screw it up or forget or whatever. Yeah. But Matthew, he says, as one of the 4 Stanford fans who also attended, he put in parentheses, the big game, I'd like to quote the great philosopher Socrates for his immortal words, fuck, seriously, what the fuck? How did we lose that game? Please don't answer that. At least Joshua Carty's 61-yard field goal at the end of the game, longest in the nation this year by 5 yards, proved that Stanford can score 20 points in a game. You know what that means? Extension for David Shaw. Grumble, Matthew in Mountain View. Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. We actually have a voicemail from the Zodiac Killer on that too. But thanks, Matthew, for compiling everything, and congrats to Ryan. We will definitely get you your jockey gift card, and you earned it, man. That you definitely earned that one. So pretty impressive what you were able to do. Okay, so I think we have to jump it. Was there anything else, David?
God, no. We need to get into recapping these games.
Pac-12 Roundup.
We got some games. Our power rankings this week, I just took David's tweet because, it's been a busy, crazy week. We the aforementioned
Colorado Buffaloes.
So bad. They were on the road taking on
Washington Huskies.
See, I don't know what you're talking about here, Ryan. If I'd told you coming into this game
Yes.
that Colorado would hold Michael Penix to one passing touchdown.
You would think for the first time in weeks.
14-point loss, maybe? They might cover?
Yeah, they would cover. They
lost this game by 47 points. They made Washington's rushing attack, which is like no great shakes, really. I mean, Wayne Talapapa. I mean, the running game is not the strength of that Washington offense. They ran for 5 touchdowns and 6.5 yards per carry on 43 carries.
Yikes.
Dylan Morris came in and threw a touchdown on him. They're real bad. JT Shrout, again, non-functional quarterback. Alex Fontenot proving, was he even healthy the last couple of years? What was his deal? Because I remember it felt like it was like 6 years ago when he first played and he looked really good.
No, they had the 2 running backs. There's Fontenot and the other guy.
How long has Fontenot been there?
It's been a little while.
I want to say he was there in Steven Montez's last year. Is that right? You think that's
Maybe.
right? What do you think? You think that's right?
I think that's too long ago.
Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, he looked really good. Everything else for Colorado is absolute trash. The end.
The end. I would say turning this on, and this was a late game, so I was at the Rose Bowl covering another game, watching this on my iPad. It was 21-0 during the USC UCLA game. At that point, Colorado had one of the worst punt snaps I'd ever seen. Did you see that for safety? It was like 40 yards over the dude's head. Like I mean, if you were going to try to snap it that bad, I'm not sure you would have been able to. So then you're like paying less attention. I think it was a 23-0 then. I look over, it's 33-0 at halftime. They've already covered the spread. I think actually the spread, we did the show early. It was 30. I think it was like 35 or something by the end of the week. I think it moved up. For Colorado, this is the 4th time losing 10 games since they joined the Pac-12. So 4 double-digit loss seasons. That is not good. 2011, 12, 14. This is also, and then this year, the 6th loss this season by at least 30 points. They haven't covered. They've been like 30-point dogs 3 or 4 of the last. I mean, they haven't covered in the last 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it's been, and they've been 30+ every week. It's just
and
bad.
You know who lost to this shit show? Justin Wilcox.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Colorado fans, but this is no bueno. All right, next up. So that was our number 12 team and our number 3 and our number 4 team. If I failed to mention that, my mistake. Our number 11 team,
Stanford Cardinal.
they were on the road taking on those fighting Justin Wilcoxes.
California Golden Bears.
A small game was everything we thought it would be for a long period of time. I'm kind of with Matthew. How in the fuck did Stanford lose this game?
How many times have you said that this year?
The absolute collapse in the 4th quarter. Jack Plummer wasn't really good in this game. Threw a couple of picks. Was not super accurate. Cal ran the ball okay. But Stanford, like, if you watched their first drive, it looked like they had an offense again suddenly. Like, they looked okay.
It wasn't okay. They were like, wow. That were very good. Like, that's the whole scripted thing, right?
Yeah.
They have the first 15 plays scripted, and they look like a real football team. And we were in the press box, I think, and I'm like, yeah, that's. And I think it was with RJ. And I was like, yeah, they look like a real team. I was like, yeah, that's going to go away, and it certainly did.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, I mean, it's like both teams just decided to stop playing for the middle 2 quarters of the game. They're like, okay, we're both good at our scores. I'm good at 10. You're good at 6. Let's just hang out here for a while. And that's what they did. And then it went it went all pear-shaped for Stanford in the fourth quarter. And they lost 27-20. And most importantly, I lost.
Yes.
And it required, what did it require there at the end?
So this was, Cal was favored by 4.5.
Yeah.
I took Cal, you took Stanford, and Stanford was winning. This was, yeah, and there was a defensive touchdown.
Yep.
But yeah, they were on fire that opening drive. There was a one-handed catch that looked amazing. They didn't kick the field goal. Then Cal throws a pick in the end zone. It was like 10-6 at halftime, like you said. But Cal scored a defensive touchdown. Plummer, I think, had 2 picks in the end zone himself. Like Cal could have had the lead, but they did it. Like Stanford got the stops when they needed to. They actually started the game with 13 straight passes, if you could believe that. So remember, Cal fired their offensive coordinator. They got Ott, and they didn't even run him for a while. It was kind of crazy. They didn't run the ball until the second quarter. Like Cal didn't run the ball once in the first quarter. And they trailed by 11 to start the fourth quarter. So David has Stanford going into the fourth quarter with an 11-point lead, and he's getting 4.5 points. I'm like,
But
crap.
what I wanted you to say was it required at the very end of the friggin' game.
Oh, okay.
Stanford deciding to throw an interception with 2 minutes to go, allowing Cal to set up with, what was it, 9 yards from the goal line?
Yes.
To score the touchdown to go ahead on the spread.
Yeah, like Cal had the ball. They could have. There was like 9 minutes left. They
I
could
don't
have.
care about the outcome. I don't care whether Stanford wins or loses.
Right.
I wanted those 4.5 points.
Right, but Cal could have scored, and then they didn't. So then they punted or whatever, and then Stanford gives the ball up. That's insane. It's the largest for a big game, the largest fourth quarter comeback on record. So that's pretty impressive that you lost the bet that way. This is the third time Stanford's lost 8 games in the last 4 seasons. So 3 of the last 4 seasons, 8 losses for Stanford. They had not lost 8 games in the first 8 seasons under David Shaw.
Do you know why the other one was not 8 losses?
This is COVID.
Yeah, because they only played 6 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were 4-2 that year, though.
They were ass. It was a fake 4-2. It was a bullshit 4-2.
Yeah. So David Shaw's 2-2 in games decided by 1 score this season. The 2 that he lost, they had double-digit leads going into the fourth quarter. So that's kind of bad. So they also had they were up by 14 going into the fourth quarter against Oregon State, and they lost by 1. This is bad. The kicking a field goal, they're down by 10. David Shaw's trying to move the ball down the field. There's 5 seconds left. Instead of throwing it in the end zone, he kicks a 61-yard field goal. That took all 5 seconds for the ball to get there. There's no time for an onside kick. There's no time to score a touchdown after that. I get it. You kick the field goal so you can get the onside kick and throw a Hail Mary, but there wasn't enough time for any of that. I don't know why you're kicking a field goal, but they did. I kind of feel we should play our Zodiac Killer.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, I think we should probably do it right now since it's all fresh in our minds. Which one is it?
This is planning right here, baby.
Wasn't that one?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Perk.
No, that's not it. Okay.
Hey, guys, what's up? This is Perk. Just kidding. It's me, resident Stanford fan. Perk's no longer with us because I took Dave's advice and gambled his soul on Stanford plus the points beating Cal in the big game. So we won't be hearing from Perk for a while. Sorry, boys. Oh, hello, Ryan. Hello, Sith Lord Dave. So I want to talk about a little thing called perfection. To my knowledge, and you might need to fact check, there is only one Pac-12 player this year who is, in fact, perfect in executing his particular job. You can check PFF, Pro Football Focus, or whatever those ratings are. You can look up Dave's SRP++. But you will find only one perfect athlete in the Pac-12, and that is the inimitable Joshua Carty, kicker from Stanford University. That's right. He is the reason Stanford beat Notre Dame in South Bend. He is the reason Stanford has won Pac-12 win by scoring all 15 points against the mighty Sun Devils of Arizona State. my question, and I do have two of them. First, if he finishes this week against BYU, if he finishes perfect on the season, will one of you queue up a karaoke version of Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA and sing Cardi in the USA for the chorus? Question one. Question two, speaking of perfection, who do you think is the single best Pac-12 player at their position? And you can use all the ratings you want, but I'd rather hear whatever sloppy calculations you two geniuses come up with yourselves. Thanks, guys. Keep it mediocre.
Classic.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I think we're under threat of death if we don't say Joshua Cardi. For the
Yeah, I
second
think we have to
question.
say Joshua Carter. He's perfect.
For the first question, so if I was understanding that correctly, one of us needs to sing Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus.
Right, which would be you. You're the singer.
Correct.
But you have to do it instead of Cardi in the USA, right?
Cardi in the USA.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he's is this if Stanford makes the Rose Bowl? What are we talking about here? If Stanford wins another game?
No.
Stanford,
If Cardi is perfect.
Oh, if he finishes perfect.
If he finishes the year perfect, and they only have one more game because this team is certainly not making a bowl.
I think it's fair because he's going to get opportunities because
You just want to force me to sing Cardi in the USA.
this is
Okay,
I don't
fine.
He
I don't
could
care.
take.
Let's do it.
He could steal your soul
Let's
like
do
he
it.
stole Perks. We are going to hear from Perk though because I gave you a little preview of that.
That was so good.
That was really good. We have a comment. Oh wait, I'm scared. No, that wasn't it.
No, that was it. I'm so scared right now.
Right. But then, there was another one I tried to put up there. It didn't.
Yeah, my computer froze.
Oh, maybe that's it. I don't know. Okay. Well, we'll just skip that for right now. Let's see. Our next game we have. So we had our number. That was our number 11 versus number 10. This is our number 9 team.
Arizona State Sun Devils.
They were hosting our number 5 team.
Oregon Ducks. Oregon State Beavers.
But maybe that'll change soon.
Dun, dun,
Who
dun.
knows? Yeah, Oregon State did what it does. They did what they do, which is perform like the most solid team in the Pac-12, top to bottom. Beat ASU on the road, 31-7. I would just say, the thing that I was struck by was just how inept ASU looked, kind of just in the passing game entirely. I thought Trenton Bourguet had pretty clearly his worst game, and he was, I think, dinged up in the previous game. Came back for this one, so whatever, might have been carrying a little bit of that. Just a lot of short stuff. Oregon State wasn't allowing them to complete really anything downfield. Because that Oregon State defense is actually for real. They've got an actual solid team, which is why, I think they've been competitive in basically every single game that they've been, fully healthy and accounted for, except for the Utah game, which was a complete gong show. But USC nearly beat them. Washington nearly beat them. The shocking thing to consider, Ryan, is how close we would be to talking about a one-loss Oregon State team right now. And do you remember, Ryan, your great shame when you predicted a 10-2 Oregon State team?
Yeah.
And now, actually, was it 11-1?
It might have been 11-1. Yeah.
That was not too far off from what happened.
Right.
And we'll see what happens with Oregon this week. But if I'm Oregon, I'm a little bit scared of this game because Oregon State, they have a real defense that I think only Washington State can boast something similar in the Pac-12 this year.
Yeah, it's a real defense for sure. And this was the one, you got this one right. So so picks-wise, I'm one game behind you now. I'm 44-37-2. You're 45-36-2. But we had 3 different ones, and that Stanford one was the tiebreaker. So me getting Cal.
I can't believe you picked ASU in this game.
I took ASU. I just thought they would play a lot better. They were getting 7.5 points, and Oregon State doesn't play.
There was a possibility that Emory Jones was going to start this game.
That's true. But he looked fine when he came in the other game, and
Yeah.
I thought they were just playing better. And Oregon State doesn't play that well on the road, but they took care of business. This was not a there was no doubt about this one. So I was completely wrong on this one. But I went 4-1-1 this week, and you went 3-2-1. So we both had pretty good weeks. But this was the one I did get wrong. And
Damian Martinez is going to have an outside shot at 1,000 yards this year.
He should.
Best young running back in the Pac-12.
He gets like the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week like almost
Yes,
every
and
week.
including Jayden Knott.
Yeah. Well, Jayden Knott had it early, and now Martinez like actually keeps going and is doing this.
Yeah.
Early on though, Ben Gulbranson looked like it was like Jayden del Laura running out there. Like what was going on? Like he was running all over the place. ASU couldn't stop them. ASU had like this promising drive that they got a chop block on and it killed the momentum, and they pretty much didn't do everything. They were trying to cut the score to 21-14, and they had never scored again. Like that was like they were kind of getting close, and then it just like that was like the end, and they just nothing happened after. They looked real conservative on offense. Oregon State had a bunch of injuries in this game, and they still just rolled them. This is the best start through 11 games since 2012 when they started. They were 8-3. And ASU's 3-8 for the first time since 1994. So
yeah, and the thing I'll say about Gulbranson is, I was watching his first 2 or 3 starts. I didn't think he looked good at all. But this I think speaks to Jonathan Smith again. He's gotten a lot better over the last couple of weeks. So I'm interested to see how he looks this week, assuming he's still going to be the starter against Oregon.
Yeah, it's funny. Equity Bruin. I think he does like a basketball podcast or something.
He must. I've never heard of that guy.
Yeah, never forget Jonathan Smith fired his DC last year and replaced him nonsensically with the defensive coordinator's assistant, and that shit actually worked. It did. Everyone was like, it's Tyler Bray, right? Like, what are you hiring him for? And they've been a lot better. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, it's more aggressive. Like when you get, we have like a innovative offense. Just use that word. Like, was your offense described as innovative? Like, oh, you're probably going to do pretty good. Oh, you're going to be a little more aggressive on defense and not sit back all the time. Yeah, okay, you're going to be pretty good. And that's what I think they've been. But it's worked. And yeah, I'm happy that they're not going to finish 10-2 or 11-1 or whatever. But they were like they should have beat USC probably. Like that's a game they easily should have won.
Well, it was 50-50, and so was UW. Like, those were 50-50 games where if the coin flips a different way, they win.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask in games like that. I mean, they're not – obviously, Oregon State's not a team that's going to dominate good teams, but playing competitive games with good teams, that's what they can do. And when you think about that compared to what their talent base is, even relative to Washington, not even relative to USC, but relative to Washington, what they can get in there versus those two schools – it's stunning the job he's done.
Yeah. The other thing is, though, remember, they should have lost to Stanford, too. They were down by 14.
Don't say that. Don't say should have lost to Stanford. Nobody should lose to Stanford.
I know.
Nobody should have that on their, hanging around their neck.
They could have. So I mean,
ASU shouldn't have lost to Stanford.
True.
Nobody should lose to Stanford.
But they did lose
except
to
Notre
Stanford.
Dame, because that was really funny.
That was pretty funny. That was my first question because USC's played Notre Dame. I do the 5-question exchange or whatever, and I'm like, okay,
how?
Before we get this, how? Like what? I cover this conference. How did this team lose to Stanford? You smoke Clemson. You lost to Stanford, like in a field goal kicker. All right, next up, our number 8 team,
Arizona Wildcats.
Wow. They were hosting our number 7 team,
Washington State Cougars.
Funniest goddamn thing about this game is that Arizona's defense, for maybe the first time this year, showed up for this game and actually played okay for like a good long stretch. And Jayden del Laura took the biggest poop on the field I've ever seen. He was getting in shoving matches with his receivers on the sideline.
He fought his own receiver.
Dorian Singer is basically carrying you this year.
He had 3 touchdowns in the game or something.
And super with Singer, Jacob Cowing's gotten a lot of the pub, including on this show. Singer has been their best receiver this year and their biggest downfield threat. And they're getting in a shoving match on the sideline, just nuts. But yeah, I mean, if they'd gotten the usual Arizona offensive performance in this game, they might have won. Instead, this was a blowout, and then it got looking respectable at the end. It was 31-6 going into the fourth quarter. Then Arizona put on a little bit at the end. I was hoping for just one more drive to get the back door, but this is one thing with Washington State is that they have had this weird tendency to not close out games or to not score past a certain point. It's no, we're good at 31. Anything else would be ostentatious, except when they're playing Stanford, because you can't help but score on Stanford.
No.
But yeah, Jayden del Laura continued his habit of good game, bad game, good game, bad game, good game, horrible game, and that was this one.
It was. And I had this one right. Or Arizona. I took Washington State. You had Arizona +4. And Jayden del Laura is, he's an emotional guy when he can have a huge game and beat like UCLA and go crazy and all this stuff. But sometimes, there's a lot of emotion there and it doesn't come out in productive ways. 4 picks in this one, fighting your own wide receiver, maybe because it's like, okay, so if I told you, all right, Jayden del Laura, chip on his shoulder, pissed off, he's going to play his old team. Things were really weird last year. The coach gets fired because they didn't want to take a shot, and his coach is now suing the school, all this weird stuff. It's like, okay, this is a guy that's going to get to go, play his old team at his new home. He got in a fight in the game. You're like, oh, who did he fight? No, he fought someone on his own team, like his current team. It wasn't even someone from the old team. Just insane. I don't know how you do this. Washington State, though, really good defense. They are 7-0. The crazy thing is holding opponents under 20 points. The fact that they've done that 7 times in this season is pretty crazy. So they've have a really good defense. It's the first time it was a scoreless first quarter for Arizona this season. I don't know. This is like when Arizona plays a little defense, which they don't do a very good job. If the opponents don't score 30, they're 4-0. Anything over 30, they're 0-7. And the defense is not great. But you wanted to see the offense kind of come out and put on some fireworks. And to not score in the first quarter, to have the 4 picks, to fight your own players, that's not what you want.
Oh boy.
But that's a thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, don't fight your wide receivers, guys.
We got Phil had a comment here. Let me put this up there. Yeah, don't especially when they're really good. Cougs have only scored 20 points total in the second half of the last 3 games. Yeah, so they kind of come out early, but that's one of those things when you play really good defense, you can get, like Dave said, you can get enough points, and then you just can kind of yep, I'm good. Don't want to screw this up. Stephen Ring says that Jayden del Laura is a younger JV version of DTR. Not DTR's got some fire, but I don't think
he was never fighting his own players.
No,
that's not a thing that DTR ever did.
I think he can trash talk. I think he can be emotional, but I think he's less volatile than Jayden del Laura. Is that fair?
I would say DTR, a young version of DTR, got way too up for certain games, and then he would make a bunch of his turnovers and big sacks, but it was like the trying to make a play. That part is somewhat similar. There were a lot of highs and lows.
Yeah,
but not the volatility.
Yeah,
the getting in a fight with your own receiver.
Yeah. So we had an 11 versus 10 game. We had an 8 versus 7 game, and now we're going up to our number 6 team,
UCLA Bruins.
And they were hosting our now number 1 team,
USC Trojans.
Poor Oregon, they win and they get bumped, but this is Dave's rankings.
It had to be done. USC won 48-45. It was exactly what that score sounds like. Sort of, I would say it was a game of runs early, where UCLA jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and then USC responded with, I don't know, it was like a 34-7 run or something. And then it was just back and forth, just kind of hoping to break each other's serve. Didn't really happen. I think the big takeaway is that first, Caleb Williams is really goddamn good. And Austin Jones picked up where Travis Dye left off without really missing any beat whatsoever, which I was kind of expecting to happen. He's been really good this year, just kind of in a backup role, and he was really good at Stanford when Stanford actually had an offense. So that made sense. For UCLA, it sucks because Dorian Thompson-Robinson was by turns both the only reason UCLA was still in the game late, and also his interceptions were the reason they lost. He threw 3 interceptions, including the clincher at the very end. UCLA had finally forced a stop. Leatu Latu got a sack on Caleb Williams, but that actually required Caleb Williams doing one of the few boneheaded things he did in this game, which was not running for a first down, but instead trying to throw. And so he didn't get it. And then on the next play, he gets sacked. Big one. Might have been one of those rare moments where it was like, oh, I'm very close to winning this game, and then he's overthinking things. Latu gets the sack. UCLA gets the ball back at the 10 with 2 minutes to go, a couple timeouts. And then they march it downfield pretty quickly, but then get it to midfield. And then Dorian Thompson-Robinson drops back on 3rd and 5 and throws a pick to dropping Corey Foreman, a defensive end, who dropped into coverage. The thing I would say is, and this is something a lot of UCLA fans have echoed, what did Zach Charbonnet do to deserve only getting 1 carry in the 4th quarter? First.
Fair.
And also, the end of the first half game management by UCLA was extremely poor. It afforded Dorian Thompson-Robinson the opportunity to throw his 2 previous picks, which he did both in the last 2 minutes of the first half. And the second of which, there was no reason to continue to try to score at that point. There were 20-ish seconds left from the UCLA 32. Your odds of scoring are really low. And on literally the previous throw, Thompson-Robinson had shown he's not really recognizing what USC's coverage is doing because he nearly threw a pick 6 to Max Williams.
Yeah.
Then on the next throw, he throws it behind Michael Ezeki for the pick. So it was just mismanagement allowed USC to get 3 right before halftime, and obviously they won by 3. The game might have turned out differently if they hadn't made the field goal or whatever, but in a marginal game, you can't give away points, and that's something that Chip Kelly has done with bad game management all year.
Yeah, it's funny because it was an exciting game. Of the 2 marquee games, this one was way more fun than the Utah-Oregon game we'll get to in a little bit. But both teams made a bunch of mistakes. USC special teams were really bad. They missed a couple field goals, missed really 3. And Chip Kelly called timeout. They give them an opportunity to kick it again.
Where do you stand on that? So results-oriented wise, I'm no, stupid. I also kind of think process-wise, this guy's just missed 2 from shorter. He's never made anything longer than a 45. He's lining up from 49 right now.
Yeah, kind of
let
let
it
it happen.
go, right? Because he's probably in his own head by that point.
I'm not a big, ice the kicker kind of person anyway. So it just sort of looks bad when.
Or if you're going to ice him, don't let him take a practice kick.
Yeah, do it early
that
enough.
one was short by about 8 yards.
Yeah, it did not look good at all.
Mo Osling was there, and he was going to return that one.
Yeah, and then the Pac-12 refs kind of took away a UCLA good kick and made him kick it again. So that was kind of.
And he made it, so it didn't really matter. But that was, and that one it might have been a UC. So here's the other thing: a lot of UCLA fans have been complaining about the pass interference non-calls. Jake Bobo was getting mugged a couple of times. I actually thought it was a pretty cleanly called game.
Yeah.
I didn't hate not calling the pass interference, and also. Stylistically, that's what USC does, and I didn't think UCLA was very prepared for it. They do a lot of aggressive coverage. They put hands on bodies, and a couple of those probably should have, if you're basing it off of previous games, could have been called, but in this game they weren't calling it. And they weren't calling it on UCLA either. Now, UCLA wasn't often putting hands on receivers because they weren't within the same zip code.
So there's a disadvantage.
But I think it if you're Jake Bobo, if you're 6'5", 220 or 230 or whatever you are, you got to fight through those arms better. I mean, that's the simple reality of it. And if you're going to, claim pass interference, you got to sell it a lot better too.
Yeah.
You got to be fighting through it, so you're ripping that arm forward and showing them what they're doing.
But it was, there was a lot of mistakes, I think, on both sides. You'd mentioned, Caleb Williams could have ran for the first down, then he takes the sack. USC punts once, and it's at the end. It's when USC has a 2-score lead, DTR scoring at will, and then USC is coming down and scoring. The only thing that's going to stop you if you don't score, that's how it's going to,
Hey, Steven, I see your comment. Ed Kazarian is the GOAT towel wavers. You guys, you don't hold a candle. No, it's Ed Kazarian, who's also the only coach in UCLA history who doesn't have a loss.
Wow. Oh, he was the interim for 1K.
1-0, baby.
Nice. But really fun, exciting game. There was just a lot going on there. Like Dave said, DTR was the only reason that UCLA's in it, and one of the reasons why they lost. So it's hard to. Yeah,
it's a really. It was bittersweet for him. He was the guy on the field I thought for both teams really wanted it the most. He was lead blocking for Zach Charbonnet on
that was
2 or 3.
Impressive.
That was really cool to watch. Left it all out there. Sucked. It wasn't one of his better games. But from a heart standpoint and all that kind of stuff. I think if you're a UCLA fan, you've got to be that guy's awesome.
Yeah. For USC, Tuli Tuipulotu didn't get. He was the sack leader in the nation. but they had him like kind of spying Zach Charbonnet a little bit. He was like kind of playing like a run linebacker almost, and that was pretty effective.
Yeah.
Zach Charbonnet had 4 straight games, 150 yards, and USC held him to 95 or whatever.
USC and Chip Kelly. Held him to 95.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, when UCLA suffered, they had an injury in the second half to one of their offensive guards, Antonio Maffi, who's probably their best run blocker. And USC took advantage in a big way. And that was when a lot of the losses to Charbonnet came.
Gotcha.
So there was, and I thought Alex Grinch, I mean, I know there's a lot of complaints about him, and they did give up 45 points. I thought he called a pretty interesting and good game. I mean, the clever coverages at certain times that clearly UCLA was not prepared for. Like 2 of those picks, it was the classic, the quarterback's going through his progression because he read a certain coverage, and that coverage is not the coverage that he read pre-snap. So that's good defensive coordinating. That's mixing things up and throwing some odd and unscouted looks out there.
Yeah, and for Mario Williams, I think it was Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week, but he just 470 yards for him. Only 3 touchdowns. He's had like 5 touchdowns, but had the run touchdown, a couple passing touchdowns. And Jordan Addison came back against Colorado very briefly, but was full bore in this one and was unstoppable. Like you kind of forget, like they have a lot of receivers and you can get by without him, but you forget, like, wow, he is really good. So he lined up in the backfield one time on that touchdown and got a linebacker lined up on him and just scorches him down the sideline.
No. John Vaughn's on Jordan Addison is probably not the coverage you're looking for.
Not ideal, but really exciting game. USC punches their ticket to Las Vegas. And
UCLA punches its ticket to like the Sun Bowl or the Vegas Bowl or something.
I don't know. We'll see.
Vegas Bowl would be cool. It'd be December 17th.
I would love to do that. Yeah. And then we have one last game to preview. We already talked about number 5 Oregon State, number 4 Washington. But we have number 3
Utah Utes
and number 2
Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, so this was a game of quarterbacking, I think I would say. Oregon won 20-17. Bo Nix, I thought, played a pretty I'm not gonna say heroic because you're not like saving babies from a burning building, but obviously playing on one leg, really gutty effort from him. And then Cam Rising on the other side played probably his worst game as a Ute. And that's really the tale. Utah had opportunities to win this game at various points late. But Cam Rising just couldn't make throws after a little while. He missed a huge one, a huge fourth down throw to Dalton Kincaid that would have been a first down. But just bad decision, bad throw, bad decision, bad throw, just constantly. And it was a shame. I thought it was available for Utah to win this game and really make the final weeks of the season very interesting. And, Oregon, the thing I'd say about Oregon is, obviously a well-coached, well-managed team. I've continued to, tout that. Bo Nix, you've really got to credit him for getting back in there because it was obvious Thompson's not ready to play at this level and may not ever be. And they don't have a credible backup. So they needed him in this one, and he went out there and did it. And so we'll see. I mean, I don't know what his health situation is, if he's going to regain his mobility. If he doesn't, I think there's some obvious working around that Oregon's going to try to do that they tried to do in this one, but I don't know how successful it's going to be. I think Oregon State, facing a more one-dimensional Bo Nix, I'd be a little bit nervous if I were a Ducks fan with that offense going against that very, very good defense. But you got to credit him for showing up and playing really well in this game.
Yeah. Just was disappointing because neither of the star quarterbacks were healthy. It was kind of like watching 2 past their prime boxers kind of going at it. Like, you remember what it should have been like. And, hopefully these guys get healthy now. But this wasn't – I mean, it was a close game. It was another 3-point game, marquee game. And it's a great win for Oregon, getting revenge for last year, getting smoked a couple of times. But you just didn't feel like you were getting the best punch from either side, right? I mean, there was no – did you enjoy watching this? This wasn't –
No, I mean, it was a slog. It was a real slog fest. And the thing is, it was always just a couple inches away from being much better than that. It's just the timing was wrong. And I'm talking mostly about Cam Rising. Utah was very close to not breaking this open, but going ahead and continuing to press if they'd just gotten competent quarterback play.
Yeah.
Like Tavion Thomas was running the ball pretty well for a while, and then it kind of went away. But Cam Rising was also running the ball okay. It's just he couldn't make throws after a little while.
No.
And, that was kind of all she wrote.
Oregon, this is the fewest points they've had in a win this season. Run on the ball, Oregon, those running backs, I got a picture. I mean, I love the young running backs and stuff that Oregon has. Not so good in this game. I would say 25 carries, 59 yards, 2.4 yards per carry. That's not good. Utah, on the other hand, they had 4 drives that went at least 10 plays, which, okay, that's going to be pretty good. They only scored on 1 of those drives.
Yeah.
2 turnovers on downs and 1 missed field goal. So I think there was opportunities, for both. But I don't think Utah figured out that Bo Nix wasn't mobile until like the second half. Like I think that Oregon did a pretty good job of hiding that or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just like he's just going to be throwing the ball. And the problem is we've seen when Utah gets in these kind of slog games, like the one with USC, it wasn't slog, but they were, it's physical. And you get beat up and you're not healthy coming out of that game. Like how healthy is Oregon going to be after this one? Didn't look all that healthy going in. What about Utah? Utah doesn't have the match. They're playing Colorado, but Oregon's got a real game coming up. So, I don't know. Any concern about the Ducks and the health of Bo Nix and maybe just not being super healthy?
Here's what I would say. This Oregon team, I mean, I think they're favored this weekend. I wouldn't have them favored with Bo Nix hobbled. And if the same Bo Nix that showed up against Utah shows up against USC, they're not going to win that game. But maybe he gets healthier. Like maybe his whatever it is, ankle or lower leg improves. But as it is, I mean, it does kind of lop some of the upside off of this team. And I think Oregon State is solid enough on defense to make it a real tough time for them.
Yeah, and Pacific Beaver pointed out Oregon State's 11-1 at home going back to 2020. We didn't really talk about this, but the Ducks are the only team that control their own destiny to face USC. They can actually be, I believe, the number 1 seed. I don't know, with a home team or whatever it is if they win. But Oregon's still alive, Washington's still alive, and Utah is still alive. But it all starts with the Civil War, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, Oregon State needs to win to open up any possibilities for anyone else.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and preview all of the final week of the regular season, week 13. All right, we're back here on the podcast of champions. We got to do our picks. Like I said, I was 4-1-1. Dave was 3-2-1. I am 1 game behind. So we got this week, then we got Pac-12 championship, and then we got bowl game. So I'm not gonna be desperate.
Yeah, don't get too out over your skis.
I think
spots.
I was measured last week. I picked 3 different games, went 2-1 in those, so that was nice.
It's 2 minutes to go in a 4-point game in college basketball. You don't need to take a 3 yet.
Right.
I'm going to
just pick who I think.
Just find a good shot.
I'm not going to pick just against you. I'm just going to pick what I think is to be the right pick. Okay, so first up we have we call this one the Territorial Cup.
Arizona State Sun Devils.
I think this is the Apple Cup.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the Apple Cup.
Arizona Wildcats.
This is the Apple Cup. It's on at 12 p.m. on Friday. FS1. ASU traveling to Tucson, all the way down to Tucson, to take on Arizona. ASU is 3-8. Arizona is 4-7. This is the game to determine whether they will have the same record or different. You like that?
I like it.
Okay. Arizona is a 4-point favorite at home. I'm gonna now go with what I've been saying, which is Jayden del Laura has a good game, then bad game, good game, bad game, good game, bad game, good game. They're gonna blow them out. Arizona.
Yeah, I had a little more faith in Arizona State last week, and Trenton Bourguet and just them being a little more competent. They did not impress me last week. I feel like Arizona can do it. I mean, they laid an egg, but there was a lot of weird emotions in that one. I feel like this is one you can kind of recover from, go forward. Jayden del Laura doesn't fight any of his own team, and maybe only throws like 2 picks, and get the win. I feel like there was the bowl talk of Arizona going to the bowl. Obviously, that's flushed. There's no what was it? No more bowl talk, but you can still beat your rival.
It's such a thick flush sound.
It's
like
very
it sounds
thicky.
like poo is being flushed.
This wasn't a pee flush. Number
No.
1 flush. This was a poo flush. Okay. Next up, we got our number 18,
UCLA Bruins.
and they are on the road taking on.
California Golden Bears.
First off, how stupid is soon to be major Pac-12 or USC and UCLA partner Fox? How stupid are they? Why do they have FS1, the Arizona game, and on Fox an hour and a half later, the UCLA game? Like,
I don't know.
Why do you have it on competing? Like, whatever.
I think. Well, Fox is going to be killing it though. They got the Thursday night. They got the Thursday Cowboys
Well, they've got the
Thanksgiving
World
game.
Cup.
They got the USA World Cup on Friday, and then they have Michigan Ohio State on Saturday. So Fox is probably doing fine this week.
Oh, we haven't gotten into our World Cup slander yet.
No.
Yeah, we'll have to do that later on in a different show.
Yeah.
1:30 p.m. on.
Is there a Friday
There were a
game?
lot of scoreless ties, by the way, this week in the World Cup.
How exciting is that?
Yeah, you gotta love it. 1:30 p.m. on Big Fox on Friday. Number 18 UCLA traveling to California, the sturdy Golden Bear. UCLA is 8-3. Cal is 4-7, but fresh off a small game victory over the Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah.
UCLA is a 10-point favorite on the road here. That is far too many points. So give me the Bears.
Really?
Far too many.
Really?
So you got hangover UCLA
Yeah.
on 6 days rest traveling on the road. How often does the road team win the Friday game in Pac-12? Like historically?
Not very often.
Ever. 2, Cal's riding a high. Like they just beat
Winning
Stanford.
big game?
They won small game. So they've got that going for them, and I just don't know. I mean, I don't know if UCLA's defensive tackles are going to be healthy. I mean, they went down 2 in that game. I don't know if Antonio Maffei's going to be super healthy. I don't know if Dorian Thompson-Robinson's hand is going to be perfectly great.
Yeah.
So all of that being said, I think there's a lot of reason to take Cal here, so I'm taking Cal plus 10.
Wow. This is also, my apologies, I forget the legendary Cal announcer is retiring. This is his last game. Mm-hmm. So some emotion there.
Oh, God, it's the Joe Roth game.
Joe Roth game? Yeah.
It's the Joe Roth game, too.
I'm going to put this up here. Hold on.
Yeah, baby.
Joe Roth. Yeah, that's from Pacific Beaver. He says Cal by 50. I'm taking the Bruins. I'm going UCLA. I'm going
UCLA Bruins.
Wow.
DTR.
RIP your picks.
Zach Charbonnet. That's how I want to take the lead over you, David, by picking the team
That I covered.
that you cover. That would be poetic justice. I think
something.
it's good.
It'd be something.
Yeah, I'm just not super happy with the way Cal is playing, and yeah, give me the Bruins. I think they bounce back, put a little beat down on the. Plus they're leaving the conference. They're just gonna be like, "Hey, little brother, we're leaving. Bye."
Sure.
Put a little stomp on them. Give them a wet willy on the way out the door. Little purple nurple. Bye.
Do you know what Cal?
By Justin Wilcox.
So Cal lost at home to Washington by 7. Lost at home to Oregon by 18. So there's that. But otherwise, they've been gangbusters at home.
Yeah.
They beat UNLV by 6 points at home. Do you remember that? That seminal win.
Yeah. That's true.
These are the Cal Bears that I picked to go 8-4 this year. All right.
Right. But no, they stink. Okay, let's see. We have our number 9 team.
Oregon Ducks.
They're on the road taking on number 21.
Oregon State Beavers.
This is 12:30 p.m. on ABC on Saturday. Number 9 Oregon at number 21 Oregon State. Oregon's 9-2 in control of its own destiny. Oregon State needs help. They need to provide their own help by winning this game. Oregon's favored by 3. This is almost a no doubter for me. I'm taking Oregon State.
Yeah.
I love Dan Lanning. I have even let him reclaim his name, even though he is Landanning, as we all know.
I don't look at Landanic as an insult. I just like the way it sounds.
I know, but I now it's like, wow, he's actually a really good coach. But I don't know what you're going to do with hobbled Bo Nix. I think he does so much on the move. He does so much of his throwing on the move. It's just harder for them to run offense the way they want to run offense when he can't move. I don't know that he's going to be healthy by Saturday, so I got to take Oregon State.
I'm saying, yeah, same thing. I feel like you play Utah and you can get beat up a little bit.
Oh, and Mark points out this is correct. This one is the one called Big Game, right?
I'm sorry.
This is Big Game. Yeah.
By the way, I mean, it should be Civil War. I don't know why you can't say Civil War.
Big Game. We're not fighting your cultural war right now, okay? It's
not
Big
like-
Game. We're making jokes. We're not doing culture war.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. There's other Civil Wars. There's lots of Civil Wars every day break out all
Are
over
they
the
good?
world.
Do we like them?
They're not good.
Are they fun?
But
Yeah, but what was this one named after?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Whatever.
Who
Civil
knows?
War. Okay. Yeah.
You know, Oregon was founded as a white supremacist enclave.
Was it really? Nice. So we should shut the whole state down then.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Shut it down and reevaluate. Just put a pause on it.
At least let us pump our own gas there.
Yeah,
I would say that.
exactly.
Okay. Next up, we've got, so we both agree on that one. We're taking the Beavs. We got our number 14.
Utah Utes.
They're on the road taking on.
Colorado Buffaloes.
And this is the battle for the Victory Cup. Victory Bell.
This is the Victory Bell. Yes.
The Victory Bell. Yeah. 1 p.m. on the Pac-12 network.
The Mile High Victory Bell.
Crosstown showdown. Number 14, Utah at Colorado. Utah's a 29.5 point favorite.
That's like instantaneous pick Utah. Like the 30 points haven't been enough the last 3 weeks. Like, what do you, it's
No question about it. Give me the Utes.
Like,
none.
It's 29.5. Like,
zero question.
Okay.
But Colorado might be up for this rivalry game. I mean, they've been playing these two teams for many years now. I think it's been about 10.
I mean, it's hard to, the rival, this means a lot. The crosstown showdown between Colorado and Utah. It means so much. Okay, the last 3 weeks, the spread has been 31.5 for Oregon. Oregon covers. 34 for USC. USC covered. 30 for Washington.
Washington
covered.
By 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colorado's back to losing to the spread by double digits.
Yes. And I don't know why you would have this. If those are all above 30, like, why are you simply now you're dipping below 30? Like,
No,
30 hasn't been enough.
Vegas, you're making mistakes. You're
Yeah.
drunk, Vegas. Go home.
Like, we've tested the 30, like 30 wasn't enough. Like 30 to 34.5 or whatever. That's not been enough. Like, you need to push the 40, like put the 40 up there and we'll think about it. Like, we are not thinking about 29.5. There's no thought in that one.
Absolutely no question about it.
All right. Our number 15 team. You have to do this one.
Oh, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Very good. At number 6.
USC Trojans.
This is 4:30 p.m. on ABC, not NBC. You like that?
That was the NBC
yeah.
music for ABC.
Uh-huh. Number 15, Notre Dame. There's levels to this. At number 6, USC. USC's only a 5.5 point favorite, which is insane because we all collectively watched Stanford beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame has fattened up on beating a whole lot of trash out of the ACC. But 2 Pac-12 teams have been competitive or beaten Notre Dame. Cal should have, and
Yes.
Stanford did. USC should win this by 14 touchdowns. Give me the Trojans.
He sent me a text like, can we empty our bank accounts and bet on USC? I'm definitely going to take USC in this one. I can't imagine, like, I don't care when it was. Like, you lost to Stanford this year. Like, this team lost to Stanford. It's hard to unsee that. Like, there's just certain things. You walk into your grandparents having sex. Like, you're never going to unsee that. I saw Stanford beat Notre Dame in, with touchdown Jesus looming over. Like, I can't unsee that. I couldn't unsee Stanford kicking 5 field goals and beating Arizona State. It was hard. And somehow I still picked Arizona State down the road, which doesn't make any sense. But yes, give me USC minus 5.5. I just think they're going to be on a roll. Notre Dame's hadn't given up 400 yards yet this season on defense. I think they do against USC. All right, number 13.
Washington Huskies.
Is this the Civil War? This is the
no. This is the Territorial Cup.
Territorial Cup. Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
they're in the same territory.
Right.
Territorial Cup against at
Washington State Cougars.
7:30 p.m.
very territorial.
on ESPN.
Holy territory.
We find this game amusing. No one else does this game of renaming all of the rivalries by other ones, but we've been doing it now for many years, and it's a lot of fun.
We have.
Uh,
Does anyone find what we do amusing? Just us.
Just us.
We laugh.
Number 13, Washington traveling to Pullman to take on Washington State. Washington, is this right? Did I have this right in the original one? Yeah. Washington is a 2-point road favorite over the Cougars. I have zero feel for this football game.
I'm not. Yeah.
I would say, so Washington's offense is still probably the best single unit in this game, but then Washington State has the next two. Their offense is showing signs of life of late, and their defense is really good. And then Washington's defense exists in some ways.
It's there.
Sort of.
It's present. It would it's at homeroom, and Washington's defense raises its hand present.
What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with DeBoer. I'm a little bit more confident in his ability to develop a robust offensive game plan that takes advantage of, whatever stuff Washington State does wrong defensively. But I could go either way on this one. I don't really have a good feel for it.
Yeah. I'm going with you on this one. I just like the way Washington's playing right now, scoring. It's only 2 points, and I just feel like Washington go in there and win by a field goal or a touchdown or something like that. So, but love the way the Cougs have been playing. But they're sort of like the haves and the have-nots, and Washington just happens to be on the upper half, and Washington State just on the lower half. I'm going to take big Penix energy and go with Washington. All right, in our last game, we have an unranked
BYU Cougars.
Pretty good. On the road, taking on
Stanford Cardinal.
So, BYU, I think we know why BYU is having an underwhelming season, right? It's no surprise. It's no secret. They only played one Pac-12 team so far.
They were 5-0 last year.
For BYU to be good, they've got to be sharpened. Their iron needs to be sharpened by the iron of the Pac-12.
Defending Pac-12 South champions, yes.
And instead, they tried to go play Utah State. They tried to play Baylor. They tried to play South Florida, Wyoming, Arkansas, Liberty, East Carolina, Boise State, Utah Tech. They only played Oregon. They needed to play ASU. They needed to play Arizona. They needed to be tested in those fires so that when they would be able to go at Liberty and come somewhat closer than 27 points from winning that game.
Yeah.
BYU isn't good, so we'll say that. But Stanford is a trash can. This is at Stanford. We've watched Stanford score how many points in the last, I don't know,
they scored,
season?
They just kicked
They scored 20. They did break into the 20s.
How David Shaw is it to kick a field goal, a 61-yard field goal as time expires to cut it to a 7-point lead? It wasn't even to beat the spread.
How many weeks has it been since Stanford scored more than 20 points in a football game? We're at 6 straight games, Ryan.
6
of not doing that.
Well, college football's changed, David. There's not a lot of high scoring anymore. It's more about defense and running the ball, field position, punting from the plus territory, and kicking field goals.
How many games has it been since Stanford scored more than 30 against an FBS opponent?
Not this season.
The last time that happened was Saturday, October 16th, 2021.
So it's been a while.
Been a minute. And that was in a loss to Washington State, 35-31. Okay. Enough vamping. BYU. Give me BYU.
Yeah, I'll take BYU also. It's, I could see Stanford. Like, the problem is, like, Stanford could be up by 10 going into the fourth quarter again and just implode. And they just do dumb things at the end of the game. Or Stanford just can come out and just kind of lay an egg. I feel like BYU is going to come in pretty motivated and get a win here.
Sorry, we've got Andrew in the chat. He's saying he's saying that the Civil War is Oregon versus Oregon State, and that the Washington State game is the Apple Cup. Sorry, Andrew, you're incorrect. The Apple Cup is the one between Arizona and Arizona State. As you know, there are many apple trees in Arizona,
right?
In the state of Arizona.
They were brought down from the people from the Midwest brought them because they were cold.
Correct.
Correct.
You
a lot
understand.
of apple trees.
And Washington State is the territorial cup because there's a lot of territory in Washington.
Yes. The territory between like Spokane and Seattle, there's much
territory.
Yeah.
Their
Some
territory,
good wineries.
The territory is much of a muchness.
We need one of those emojis where like with a thing that goes joke and it went over your head or whatever.
And Oregon State, was that big game? That was big game. It's just because it's a big game between those two teams. That's why they call it that.
Utah, Colorado, crosstown showdown.
Yeah, because they're both in towns and they cross from one to the other via plane to play their game.
And man, they show down.
Hey, boy, howdy do they.
They do. Wow, we had over 100 people watching. That's awesome. Smash that like button, please, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, subscribe everywhere. And
sign up for a 247 subscription for 75% off.
75% off is pretty impressive. All right, let's go to some questions. We got a voicemail from the now soulless Perk.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Perk. I was at a sports bar, so I wasn't able to catch like the full USC UCLA game. Just only got able to see bits and pieces. But kind of just seeing the offensive outburst that happened, I want to know why it is that you guys think that USC and UCLA are going to get their ass kicked in the Big Ten. Because we've got teams like Iowa, Wisconsin. I mean, I spent my Saturday at a Purdue Northwestern game where both teams finished the game under 300 yards total. I can't emphasize enough how bad this conference is on offense. I just want to know why you guys think USC and UCLA are going to struggle when they put up points at will. Anyway, thanks, guys. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
I mean, I don't remember most of what I said, but I don't think I ever said that.
No, so I don't think they struggle because of I don't think they struggle because of quality of competition. I think they will have more struggles because of the constant travel. Constantly traveling east for many, many hours to play their road games. I don't think that's going to be good. I think it's going to be a competitive disadvantage. But yeah, I mean the bottom, I don't know, 8 teams in the Big Ten are trash, just fiery trash, and any of the top 6 Pac-12 offenses this year would just blow those teams out of the water. The problem is the elite programs in the Big Ten are going to be there's more elite in the Big Ten than there currently is in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And so constantly dealing with Ohio State, which is a perennial playoff team, is going to be different even for USC because they don't have that in the Pac-12. The closest thing is Oregon, and Oregon is not a perennial playoff team. They're really good. They're not a perennial playoff team. Ohio State is. Michigan is the next rung down, but they're even probably a cut above where Oregon is as a program. So adding that in there, and then Penn State, which is, arguably right around the level of Oregon, you'd say, similar situated.
Sure.
It's just adding some quality at the top, but no, I mean the bottom of the league is it's horrible.
Yeah. Got another voicemail?
Hey, Brian and Steve, Trevor here, huge fan. I was at the Rose Bowl Saturday night in pure agony for 4 hours, as any true fan would be. But I'll tell everyone for the rest of my life that it's one of the best games I've ever been to, and I knew our defensive end with 12 tackles on the year was going to make a game-sealing pick. But I had a specific question for Dave about whether or not, Dave, it's time to give Chip Kelly his begrudging respect. I don't know that there's any coach in the history of football that could have turned a 4-point lead with the ball, all 3 timeouts, and 2 minutes to go in the half, when he's going to receive the second half kickoff. into a 10-point deficit with 7 minutes to go in the third. I mean, going from +4 to -10 in 10 minutes of game time in that situation, it's like he's like Danny Ocean or something, pulling off an intricate heist. And Dave, I just wanted to ask you, would you rather spend eternity being forced to watch Chip Kelly manage just the middle 8 of UCLA football games on a time loop forever, or stuck in an escape room with all of your USC reply guys? I'll take my answer off there. Thanks.
I got to go the first. Incredible voicemail.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Top 3 all time. Second, I'd have to go with the reply guys. You meet anyone in person, they're going to be normal or whatever. But watching Chip Kelly fuck up the middle 8 of these games, I asked him about it the week prior. I asked him about it on fucking Wednesday before the USC game. I'm like, hey, do you subscribe to the idea of like the middle 8 being super important and all this stuff? And he gives me like this, yeah. Blah, blah. And then he fucks it up egregiously. They had an opportunity if they run the drive correctly, and sure, Dorian Thompson-Robinson was not sharp, but if he was, where they could have been up by 18 points 3 minutes into the third quarter. Instead, they were down.
Yeah.
It was insane to watch that. Insane. Maddening.
See, and I think I screwed this up too. When I was doing incident analysis with Shotgun, I'm like, yeah, both teams are pretty good at middle 8. And then Shotgun's like, well, actually, UCLA's not very good at the middle 8. I'm like, and USC is pretty good. I'm like, oh. But the way David when I see David tweet, it's sort of like as soon as the middle 8 rolls around, he just assumes like Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to score touchdown. It's like, okay, UCLA should be up 28 after this.
No, it's because he fucks up the clock. Chip Kelly fucks up the clock. The offense is good. I mean, and it messed up in this game, but like most of the time it's pretty good. It's just he'll screw it up where they'll either turn it over or do something stupid, or they'll score way too quickly. The whole point is to manage possessions. Don't give the other team more possessions than you need to in and around halftime.
So like don't throw like 2 picks in the last 2 minutes.
If you have the ball coming out of the half, make sure you have the ball more or less going into half.
Yeah.
Just it's that simple.
Gotcha.
Simple fucking game.
I like it. All right. Well, that's awesome voicemail. Thank you. I think this is our first.
Oh, and this.
go ahead.
Sorry. No, now I'm on my subject. At the end of the game, first play at the 10-yard line, when they have 2 minutes to go, 2 timeouts, there's absolutely no need to rush. And in fact, you don't want to rush because you don't want to give the ball back to USC that quickly. What the fuck does UCLA call? A deep bomb down the left sideline that was intended to be a touchdown. What are you doing? Have you not watched your defense this entire game? Do you just want to lose in agonizing fashion instead of a pick, which is like agonizing but in a different way?
Yeah.
But do you want to lose watching them march down the field and you just are calling ineffectual timeouts to like stop them from kicking like a 21-yard field goal? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. No, I get you.
Anyway.
I think the first email is from Al. Significance of Washington's rivalry win. Hi, Ryan and Dave. The discourse on the win of Washington over Oregon and Eugene last weekend has justifiably centered on its effects of Pac-12 play, on its effects on Pac-12 playoff contention, Dan Lanning's pivotal decisions in crunch time, its effect on the Pac-12 championship, etc. What has been a bit lost is just how important this win is for Washington. Let me explain. Before this game, Washington has won exactly twice against Oregon since 2003. And while those were lopsided wins in 2016 and 17, it was 70-21 and 38-3. Any honest Washington fan would admit that they came against poorly coached, overmatched Oregon teams coming at the recent low point in Oregon's history under Helfrich and Taggart. This sucks because outside of making the Rose Bowl / playoff, beating Oregon is the major measuring stick of a Washington season. Take those games out, and UW score is 577-296 since 2003. Over the past 19 years, even when Washington has had good teams, as long as Oregon has been mediocre to good, if not outright elite, we rarely have been competitive and usually get blown out. It isn't mentioned much, but for all of his success, Chris Peterson never actually beat a good Oregon team, losing all games outside of the aforementioned 2016-2017 to Helfrich and Cristobal. Sark never came close. So for Kalen DeBoer to come in during his first year, not just win, but do it as a big underdog against the number 6 ranked Oregon team on the road, it's not hyperbole to consider it a program-changing win. Before last weekend, I honestly expected this game To be a loss every year and the gap between those programs only to widen. That might be different now. Cheers to Kalen DeBoer and order to the Penix.
All right, hang on.
Yeah.
I have to give a pep talk now to a fucking Washington fan, so I got it.
That's from Al, by the way. You're a pep talk, Al.
All right, pep talk, Al. Al, your programs are 3-3 over the last 6. Stop looking at the Chip Kelly beginning of the Helfrich era shit. Just don't do it. It's disgusting. It's like UCLA fans looking at the Pete Carroll era. It's not good. So don't do it. And it was a confluence of circumstances that aren't going to replicate. They're not going to happen again.
Yeah.
Over the last 6, here's what you have. 70-21 Washington, 38-3 Washington. You want to throw those out because they came against bad Oregon teams? Fine. Are we also throwing away the 26-16 Oregon victory last year because it came against Jimmy Lake? Are we? No. Stop being a self-beating up person. Here's what you have even in those Oregon wins. Oregon, 30-27 in overtime. Oregon, 35-31. Oregon, 26-16. Combined 17-point margin in 3 games. And then you beat them 37-34. This is a competitive rivalry again because they don't have a historic offense. You're fine.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
I put up some pictures to help your speech for him, like the husky pointing at the duck from last week. Put him up there for him.
Right.
So hopefully that helps, Al.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
You're both good programs. I'm not criticizing Oregon here either, but you both have good programs that have now good coaches, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. Yeah, I guess I'll read a question.
I was going to say, do you want to do
All right, this is from Dave. Easy solution for the future of the podcast. Pretend nothing has changed and continue to cover the same Pac-12 schools you always have.
I mean,
That's probably what
we're
I'll
probably what we're going to do because
Yeah.
we don't like change much anyway.
And I don't want to watch any Rutgers.
Yeah. I mean, we have to watch the teams we cover, but it's going to be hard to do Big 12 stuff and Big 10 stuff. Okay, this is from Alex in Seattle, obscure dog mascot. Hey, gents, I'll keep this brief. When going over dog mascots, there was one obscure one that you missed, the Southern Illinois Salukis. Oh, okay. Also, I want to shout out to a few other schools with live dog mascots. So Texas A&M has Reveille. Tennessee has Smokey the Blue Tick Coonhound. The Citadel has, is there anything more Southern than a Blue Tick Coonhound?
No.
It's pretty fucking Southern. The Citadel with a G3 the Bulldog. I don't know what that is.
Means.
That's all for now, and thanks for the entertaining podcast. Go Huskies, Alex in Seattle.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
This is from Frank in Sacramento. Let's see if it's an actual question. Which way? Outside of the blowouts to Rice and Colorado, USC tends to play down or up to the level of their opponents. This may explain so many close games this year. If this theory holds up, do you think they will do well against Notre Dame and in the Pac-12 championship? First, let's see if his supposition holds true. Rice, nope. Stanford, nope. Fresno State, nope. Oregon State, I just think is good.
Yeah.
You could maybe make the argument there that they didn't play a high-scoring offensive game, but I think Oregon State had a lot to do with that. ASU, nope. Washington State, I'd argue nope.
Yeah, Washington State's pretty good. I mean, that's good defense.
Utah, nope. I think Utah's just good, and it was on the road.
Yeah.
Arizona, maybe. But I also think their offense is pretty good when Jayden del Laura is on his cycle. The only one I think you could make the fair argument that they were playing down to or up to.
We're going to get canceled for that. Jayden del Laura's on his cycle.
I didn't mean it like that. I just meant, he's got it's like the moons, the phases of the moon.
Right.
Cal's the only one where I think you could really fairly make that argument.
Where, you gave up 400 passing yards to Jake Plummer.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you're playing two really good teams. USC just, they usually hang around. They're pretty good at finding ways to win. Like they never were down to Utah. It was just Utah scored to tie and went for 2, and it was just like there wasn't much time left to finish. Like they've figured out. Oregon State was a really tough one. They probably should have lost that game, but Jordan Addison wasn't doing much all game, and he finds them there and gets the win. They make that play to get the win. So yeah, I think they could do the same thing against those two teams. But I don't know about playing up or down to the competition.
Agreed.
Conference championship and awards. This is from Coach B in San Diego. Hello, Jensen. Thanks for a great USC UCLA game. I don't think we provided that.
In some ways.
Maybe so. Maybe David's question kind of inspired Chip Kelly to change the way he was calling the game in the middle 8. I don't know. 2 questions for you. First, Pac-12 tiebreaker rules are a bit confusing. With 1 week left in conference games, does Washington have a chance to make it to the conference championship game, assuming Oregon State wins?
I think they do,
They
and
do.
it requires Cal then beating UCLA too, right?
I think there's a couple scenarios, but we have to eliminate like the Colorado beating Utah scenario.
Yeah.
But I feel like Washington,
For some reason, Cal beating UCLA is important, and I don't know why.
Canzano, you want to pull up Canzano's tweet? He
No.
tweeted like the rules.
Oh, no, it's to eliminate the tiebreak that would include UCLA. Possibility.
There was something, yeah.
No, they wouldn't be in a tiebreak. What?
So Washington, I think if you look at the tiebreak stuff or whatever.
I don't want to educate myself. I just want to talk this through right now.
So here's what the thing is. Washington has the most requirement, like for Washington to make it, they have like more lines than other people, but I believe all of the lines are reasonable. Like they're like everyone seems like it's chalk or not big of an upset. Like basically Oregon State. I think Washington's is like everyone has to win. So they win the Apple Cup. No, what are they? The Civil War. No,
Washington needs to
Territorial
win
Cup.
the Territorial Cup. I
Yes.
can't believe you're screwing this up this many years into the show.
If Washington wins the Territorial Cup, and the
And Oregon State wins big game.
big game, and Utah wins the Crosstown Showdown, and I don't know what we call the UCLA, like the Battle of the Fight Song, the same fight song. I think UCLA has to win that one. Canzano had it down there, but I feel like Washington had the biggest list, but it was, I think the only upset was really Oregon State. But they're still alive. It's just kind of, but you need Oregon State to win for any of the other scenarios to open up.
Got it.
Second, with Oregon State win over Oregon, does Jack Coletto have a chance at Pac-12 Player of the Year? And does Jonathan J. Smitty have a chance to win Coach of the Year?
I don't think it's a chance. I think if Oregon State finishes 10-2, and I mean, what has to happen for them? Now do it.
Okay, so Oregon State can't make.
They can't make it?
They're out. They're 8-3 already, so they're not going to be 10-2.
Bullshit.
They could be
9-3.
They could be 9-3. So 10-2 would be great, maybe with the bowl game. They could.
They actually can never be 10-2 because they already have 3 losses.
No, I mean they could win 10 games, but if, and I think they were talking about this on No Truck Stops. Equity Bruin actually brought it up in the chat earlier. Oregon State could make the Rose Bowl if USC goes to the playoff. It's not, they're not going to play USC in the Pac-12 championship game, but they could win big game, and then, with that win over Oregon, depending on what else happens, they could be selected to go to the Rose Bowl. So they still have that.
Yeah, it's not happening.
No, I'm just saying it's possible.
Nonsense.
As always, thanks for putting out content that is good enough. Canzano and Wilner might as well retire now. Coach B in San Diego. He says, PPS, yes, we did win in El Centro. Do us a favor and don't come to the San Diego CIF finals this weekend. I know this will be hard for you both, but we would like to win it all, and it's clear that you guys not attending has a correlation with us being successful.
We will continue to abide by that then.
Yeah, I think that was already this. I think that's past. Or no, that's
That's
the weekend.
this weekend.
Okay.
This is from Danny. A question for the podcast. Hey, Ryan and Dave. First off, I want to say that I was audibly laughing out loud when I saw the USC-UCLA preview video you both did for 247 Sports. It was clear that you both were trying as hard as possible to keep it together and actually be professional at your jobs. As a POC listener that has been here since the first episode, it's great that we know who you both really are. Despite Dave's best efforts, he looked like he was in a hostage video with an unmade bed in the background and random dirty Star Wars shirts lying around. It was so great. Don't you ever change, you beautiful bastards. Now to my question. Dave, I did tell you on Twitter that I would write in asking about Chip for bringing up Helton a few weeks ago, but now I am genuinely curious here. UCLA has the potential to end the season with a 10-3 record. I personally think they will, and they played really tough on Saturday. This seems like a fairly solid season. However, is the UCLA fan base just wanting to move on from Chip at this point? As a USC alum, with Helton, we definitely reached a point that no matter what he did, we knew he needed to be gone. Is this the case for you and the majority of folks on Bro at this point? I'm wondering if a 10-3 record and being in the mix for the Pac-12 title this year perhaps garnered more favor with UCLA fans. P.S. Dave, as a Trojan, I love that Chip was not pleased with your middle eight question earlier in the week and then proceeded to mismanage the USC game in the middle eight, which was arguably where the game turned for us. I appreciate you both. Thank you, Danny. Well, so the thing is, if UCLA had beaten Arizona, I think everyone would be singing a different tune right now. It's not the losing to USC and Oregon, especially not losing a competitive game to USC or, what was marginally competitive against Oregon. it's losing to fucking Arizona at home. You can't do that in
Yeah.
this season where you were gifted the easiest schedule in UCLA history, and that's probably not hyperbole. They played an FCS team for the first time. They played a Sun Belt team, and they played a MAC team. And, the Sun Belt team and the MAC team are going to turn out to be pretty good, but Sun Belt team and a MAC team. It was the middle line scenario was going 9-3. And so when they beat Utah and beat Washington, which was among those two, you were expecting a loss. I was predicting against Utah. Then the expectation is 10-2. So to finish this year 9-3, and frankly, I think we're all gifting them this win this weekend. You could absolutely have hangover UCLA show up on Friday and lose.
No
to Cal.
way.
Could absolutely happen. But 9-3, it's par. It's basically if you took last year's team and punched it forward a year, you would expect them to go to 9-3 because of the schedule. But it's not like they've suddenly figured everything out. This was a fifth-year quarterback, an NFL running back, and a favorable schedule, and they won most of the games they were supposed to win and lost 2 of the games they were supposed to lose, and then in between that lost to fucking Arizona. You can't do that.
Win over Utah was good, but but thank you for that question. I know we're like about out of time, so let me finish these up real quick. Hey, gents, this is a text message. Sad Bruin fan here. How would you rate the Pac-12 officiating in the USC-UCLA game? It seemed like USC was allowed to mug Jake Bobo several times, which stopped UCLA drives. TV announcers liked, quote, that the refs were letting them play. We wouldn't know if the refs were consistent, as when the Bruins were on defense, no Bruin DB was even close to an SC receiver to commit PI. Hardly any offensive holding calls either. It was like exactly what you said, too.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to complain about it, I'm not going to, say, oh, no, but I don't mind the way they were calling the game because it was both ways. They weren't calling it any different on either side. They were letting them play to an extent. I think we all get very used to Pac-12's oversensitivity with throwing flags.
Right.
So the fact that they weren't, I was kind of
I
fine
like
with
it better.
Yeah,
way better. I'd rather just see the game and not like.
Yeah, and look, I mean, when you're watching Jake Bobo getting his arm pulled before the ball is there, you can say, yeah, that should be interference. But I mean, there's so much stuff that goes on these plays, and my point is he's a big, strong guy who should have been prepared for that. Like, that's the way USC plays coverage. So you got to either sell it better or you got to just fight through it and make the catch.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're looking for the refs to bail you out, it's not like it was Stanford back in 2012 where literally their strategy was we're going to hold every single play and just force them to call it, and they're never going to do it.
Yeah.
And we're just going to expand the bounds of what holding actually is. This wasn't that.
Yeah.
All right.
One last one.
One last one. This is from Brennan in Kansas. Thank you, David. Dear David, thank you for being so pessimistic. You started off the season by saying Lincoln Riley's recruiting and transfer class was meh. Right after that, we got Caleb Williams and a few other key players. Then you talked shit about USC barely beating Arizona. The following week, UCLA lost to them. Then you said DTR was a better QB than Caleb. Caleb just destroyed UCLA. So thank you, David, on behalf of all USC fans, and no change. Continue to be pessimistic. You're not using the right word, Brennan in Kansas. That's not pessimism. That is trolling. That's not the right word.
David's very good at
Pessimism is like I'm aligned with you in your outlook,
right?
Which I'm not. So it would be pessimistic for you to think these things, but that's not pessimism for me to think that.
No.
I'm trolling you. Now the reality here is those trolls
the universe
flew directly into my face, as they often do. However,
it's still fun.
That is the proper way to frame this, not as pessimism, optimism. It is trolling, and then having the egg splash back into my face.
That's well put. We had a couple ones I'm going to put from the chat from Fight on MC. Dave, how's the injury status of DTR's hand to play in the next game against Cal?
I think it's fine. He's wearing a glove this week. He's practicing though, so I think he'll play. Just we can't judge because we don't watch that much practice, so it's hard to know if it's going to be really accurate, if he's going to be able to throw downfield with accuracy, all those kinds of things.
And Chris says, who will USC play in the championship game if Oregon loses to Oregon State? We kind of talked about the scenarios and stuff.
Yeah,
so
basically we have no fucking idea.
Yeah, we kind of give some stuff.
Maybe Arizona, who knows?
And one last one. This is from Addison. USC fan, but I love DTR's moxie. Which moment was more gangster? DTR signing a UCLA hat of the USC fan after a touchdown, or playing through a broken hand to almost win?
The signing the UCLA hat of a USC fan was the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen.
It was pretty
during a
impressive.
football game.
I totally even forgot about that. Someone like, so USC, I mean, UCLA, like DTR was talking trash before the game. USC players just didn't, but after the game, you could tell, like they were like bringing it up. They're calling them, you know, teddy bears or whatever, and they brought up the like signing autograph thing. So it definitely, that the USC players remembered that.
Right. Yeah, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It was, pretty classic. And that kid, I mean, I don't know if he's famous now, but like he got an autograph. That was cool.
Yeah, it was great.
But DTR was just like
Electric.
He was really at that night, but then even on Saturday night, he was just like he was doing everything he could, and had some bad mistakes, which obviously cost. But you weren't in that game without him. What he was able to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's wrap things up. For David Woods, I am Ryan Abraham. Hope you enjoy. This is the last regular season week of Pac-12 football. I will be there in Las Vegas, trying to get my partner over here to come. So if you're coming to Vegas, I think we're gonna do a meetup with Tom, the jockey guy, on Thursday night. Park MGM is the media hotel, so we'll probably do it there. So make sure, if you're going to be in Vegas, like hit us up on Twitter or hit me up on Twitter or whatever. I will be there. Tom will be there. I think my buddy John from Trader Joe's, not Joe, Trader Joe's. John from Trader Joe's will be there also. So he'll probably have some giveaways and stuff. And I think we might have some fun jockey things too. So make sure you check all that out. But for David Woods, I am Ryan Abraham. Blah, blah, blah. We've been talking a lot. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.